guys, welcome back to Kids Family Read Alouds. Today we're reading Secret Files 2, The Hardy Boys, The Missing Mitt. Let's get on to the book. Chapter 7, Strike 3, You're Out. Uh-oh, the game was beginning and they still hadn't figured out who had taken Jason's Mitt. They hadn't even talked to their best suspect. They would just have to find a way to get to Connor during the game. Frank and Joe rushed to get ready, grabbed their mitts and headed over to the Bandits' dugout. All the players on both teams were doing the same, all except Jason, who refused to play. "Not without my lucky mitt," he said. This game is unfair. They're winning by cheating," but Coach Quinn wouldn't listen to him. "No one is cheating," she said. Your mitt was lost. It's terrible, but it wasn't anyone's fault. A good sportsman would play, no matter what." He sat on the bench with his hands folded across his chest, looking angry. Coach Quinn tried to convince him to play. She asked Jason if his father would act that way in a game. She told him that the team was depending on him, but there was no getting through to Jason. Finally, the coach shrugged her shoulders. She hoped he would decide to play, but the game would go on, with or without him. The whole team tried to get Jason to play, but it was no use. Jason refused, and without their best player, the Bandits didn't stand a chance. Frank and Joe had 7 innings. Like most Little League teams, the Bandits' games lasted 7 innings rather than 9 in the pros. To find the missing mitt, or else. Once the players were ready, the two coaches met in the center of the field. They shook hands and flipped a coin to see which team would be up at bat first. "Call it," said Coach Clem. "Tails," said Coach Riley. It was tails. The Jupiters would bat first. The Bandits took their places around the field. Frank stayed by home plate. He put on the chest guard that protected him, hitting him against any ball that got past the batter. It was a big piece of plastic, and it was heavy and clunky. But Frank was happy to wear it. Without that and his face mask, he had no protection from Speedy's wicked fastballs. Since Jason wouldn't play, Joe had been moved to first base to cover second base. They'd moved Ellie Freeman from the outfield. She was a good player, but she never played second base before. It was going to be a tough game. "Strike 3, you're out." The umpire pointed to the second Jupiter player back to the bench. "So far, thanks to speed." The Bandits were doing okay. The first batter had popped the ball straight up into the air, and Frank had caught it, putting him out. Speedy had just struck out the second batter. One more and it would be the Bandits' turn at bat. Maybe they could make it without Jason after all. The third batter stepped up to the plate. He was big. Not as big as Connor, but big. The first pitch was a foul ball off to the side, but the second was right down the middle, and the batter hit it with all his strength. Crack! The ball flew toward the center field. The batter had aimed right for the hole in the outfield, where Ellie used to stand. The outfielders scrambled to try to catch it, but they were spread too thin. If someone had been there, it would have been an easy out. Instead, the batter made it all the way to the third base. Things had just gone from okay to bad for the Bandits, and they were about to get worse. The next batter hit a low line drive up the middle, right past Speedy. The shortstop snapped it up on the first hop. The first runner was already nearing home. They weren't going to get him out. Throw it to first, Ali yelled to shortstop. But the player hesitated a moment too long before throwing the ball to Joe. The Jupiter batter made it to the base safely. By the end of the second inning, the score was Jupiter's 4, Bandits 2. The Bandits needed to get Jason back on the team, and that meant finding his Mitt finally. As the third inning was about to start, Frank got a chance to talk to Connor, who was the first up at bat. "Hey," said Frank. Connor just stared at him. "You're Connor Handwright." "Yeah," said Connor. "I'm Frank Hardy." Frank pulled up his face mask. "I heard you have the most rabies in the entire league." Their dad had taught them that people are more likely to answer questions when you put them in a good mood. Connor smiled. "Yep," he said. "That's awesome. Can I ask you a question?" "Sure," said Connor. "Why were you over by the pile of gear earlier?" "What?" said Connor. "I told everybody I didn't steal that mitt. I wasn't saying." But Connor cut him off. "I'm not a thief, and I don't need to cheat to win some dumb game." "Boys," called Coach Quinn, "what is going on over here?" He accused me of stealing." Connor pointed. "He accused me of stealing," said Connor, pointing at Frank. "Frank, is this true?" "No, I was just asking why he was over by our gear." Frank could tell by the look on her face that Coach Quinn didn't believe him. "Frank, I'm disappointed. This is very unlike you. I'm going to have to ask you to sit out the rest of this game. Please take off the catcher's gear so we can find someone to replace you." Frank could barely believe what he had heard. He wasn't accusing Connor of cheating. He was just trying to find out what happened. But Coach Quinn wouldn't listen. But Coach Quinn, we were just trying to help," Coach cried. The entire team had gathered around to see what was happening. "You were involved with this too, Joe?" asked Coach Quinn. "Yes, ma'am," he said. "Then I'm afraid you're going to sit out the game as well." Things were going from bad to worse. That's the end of this chapter. I'll see you in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe and like our video. Bye.